Today, we're kind of obsessed with what things do, right? How much they produce, how fast they grow, what they achieve. Well, we're going to take a step back and explore an ancient framework that asks a much deeper question: what are things, fundamentally?
I mean, think about it. We are absolutely drowning in data. We've got dashboards, analytics, KPIs, and they're all just screaming for our attention. But is all that information really giving us the full picture? Or is it just telling us one small part of the story, leaving the really important truths just out of sight?
You know, long before we had spreadsheets, ancient philosophers were wrestling with this exact same problem. They wanted to cut through all the noise, to get past the day-to-day fluctuations and figure out what makes something, well, itself.
And the incredible system they developed is built on one single, really powerful idea. It's a concept called a Guna. So let's dive in and figure out what that actually means.
So a guna is an intrinsic quality. The best way to think about it is like the DNA of a thing. It's not some temporary state or a behavior. It's the unchanging code that defines its core identity, its very essence.
And this right here, this is the distinction that changes everything. In this philosophy, guna is totally separate from karma, which means action. Okay, let me give you an example. Picture a river. Its guna, its inherent quality, is fluidity. That's just what it is. Its karma is the fact that it flows downhill or carves a canyon or generates power. That's what it does. See the difference? One is its nature, the other is its activity.
So, if these gunas are the essential building blocks of everything around us, how in the world did these ancient thinkers make sense of them all? Well, they did what any good strategist would do. They made a map.
And here it is. This is a metaphysical taxonomy from the Ayurvedic and Vaisheshika traditions. I know, it might look a little complex at first glance, but it's actually a brilliant system for categorizing reality itself. So let's break down its really elegant structure.
The whole system is split cleanly into two main branches. On one hand, you have the physical or sensory qualities. In Sanskrit, that's the sharir guna. These are basically the properties of the material world. And on the other hand, you have the psychological attributes of the mind or soul, known as atma guna.
So on that physical side, we find all the tangible qualities that shape our world, right? The heaviness of a stone, the fluidity of water we just talked about, the piercing quality of sound, the heat from a fire. These are all the properties that we can actually observe and feel. And then, on the psychological side, we find the qualities that define our inner world. Things like the spark of intellect that allows for understanding, the warmth of happiness, the sharp sting of suffering, and of course, the pull of desire. These are seen as the core components of consciousness itself.
But, and this is important, this wasn't some static doctrine that was just handed down from on high. Oh no, it was a living, breathing framework that was constantly being debated and refined. And honestly, this is where the story gets really fascinating.
The greatest minds of the time didn't just accept one single list. Different schools of thought were basically locked in this centuries-long, high-stakes debate about the true nature of reality, and they were constantly challenging and sharpening this very system.
Okay, let's look at two of the heavyweights here. First, you have the Vaisheshika school. They were trying to find, like, the primary colors of reality, the most essential, foundational qualities. But then you have the Charaka school, which heavily influenced Ayurvedic medicine. They were interested in all the shades in between, a much more detailed, practical list for real-world application.
So, the Vaisheshika school, after centuries of debate and refinement, they landed on this number, 24. 24 distinct, fundamental qualities to explain the entire universe. It's a pretty comprehensive, yet really elegant system.
But the Charaka school, they came back with a staggering 41. Now, this isn't just a numbers game. This points to a profound difference in worldview. One is focused on elemental theory, and the other is all about applied, nuanced, day-to-day practice.
All right, so you might be thinking, why does a philosophical debate from thousands of years ago matter to us today, sitting here in front of our screens? Well, it's because this ancient framework is actually an incredibly powerful tool for modern strategic thinking.
Here's the core insight, really. You can't effectively change or lead or improve any system until you understand its fundamental nature, its gunas. Just focusing on performance, the karma, that's like trying to sail a ship by only watching the wake it leaves behind. It just doesn't work. Let's make this really practical. Think about your team at work. You track their karma all the time. Project completions, revenue targets, deadlines met. But what is their guna? What's their inherent quality? Is it one of scrappy, disruptive innovation? Or is it more about methodical, precise execution? Knowing that core nature is so much more powerful than just tracking their quarterly output, because it tells you what kind of work they are fundamentally built to do. See, this is about shifting your entire perspective. You move from being just a reactive manager of outputs to a proactive, strategic leader who truly understands the very essence of the systems you're working with. You can finally stop just treating symptoms and start understanding the real cause.
So I'll leave you with this. Try to look past the metrics and all the noise. What are the hidden gunas, those unseen essential qualities that are secretly running the show in your world? And maybe more importantly, once you see them, what are you going to do about it?